White House offer. The Democrats want to use this as a political issue.
This is about fixing the immigration problems across the board.
The White House now responding after terror attack in Afghanistan. President Trump is saying in part, quote, the Taliban's cruelty will not prevail.
The FBI under fire, accused of refusing to hand over key text messages.
It's just the latest in a string of controversies as that bombshell FISA memo could be released any day now.
This is a really extraordinary situation. We're going to find that the Democratic Party, this is kind of the first shot in the resistance.
Now you might wonder, why is there a DJ booth inside our studio? Why are there arcade games inside? What is Adam Klotz wearing? All of these things you're wondering right now. Well, guess what? It is National Fun at Work Day. And so we take any excuse to have fun. I mean, every day is fun.
It's already fun here. Like, we need this too.
No, it's way funner.
More fun.
And I'm telling you,
photo booth.
This is also my DJ request, Miley Cyrus.
I love it too.
I do too.
You're on Team Miley?
We won't stop.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Oh.
We also have a photo booth. We've got barbecue. Look at DJ Adam. They're mixing it up. Awesome.
Well,
He'll bring
Are we going to get to go down there?
We are going to get to go down there.
Good.
We're going to get to.
I got my 80s pumps on, so, you know, we're ready to go.
Ready to go.
And the hoop earrings.
And the 80s hoop earrings.
I was kind of wondering, it's Sunday. Why is it National Fun at Work Day? I don't know. I guess it always falls on the 28th. But you can tell your boss tomorrow, let's have more fun on Monday.
That's right. And tomorrow we're also going to be talking about something perhaps not so fun, but very important. That is the immigration proposal out of the White House.
And we've been talking about it since Thursday. The White House released their template on Thursday of what they want from a deal over DACA. We know where the president stands. We know what Democrats have talked about as far as DACA is concerned. Well, Democrats came out ferociously saying, I don't care what you want to give us, even if it is 1.2 million, and a path to citizenship. You're racist. We don't support you. Pelosi, Schumer, all on the left came out ferociously against it. We've seen feedback from all sides. Well, the president last night, watching the reaction of Democrats, sent out a couple of tweets at about 10 p.m. last night while you were sleeping, but we're bringing them to you this morning. They said this. They said, I have offered DACA a wonderful deal, including a doubling in the number of recipients and a 12-year pathway to citizenship, for two reasons. One, because the Republicans want to fix a long-time terrible problem, and two, to show that Democrats do not want to solve DACA. Only use it. He followed that tweet up with a second one shortly that said Democrats are not interested in border security, border safety and security, or in funding and rebuilding of our military. They are only interested in obstruction. Rachel, you made that point very well yesterday.
I've been saying this forever. They don't want to do. They don't want to solve DACA. But you have to wonder. You get this very generous offer. The president's offering 3 times the amount of, basically amnesty and citizenship for the Dreamers than Obama ever offered. And they come out and they say, you're a racist, you're trying to make America white again. What does that do to the debate? How do you deal with people like this?
Well, the last time I checked...
I understand the president's frustration.
Well, of course, because the last time I checked, name-calling isn't a form of successful legislating or governing. And that's essentially what they've been reduced to. They're name-calling of the worst kind, racist, ransom note, all this stuff. But at the end of the day, the fact that the Democrats won't even come to the table is not only stifling the debate over what is, as you point out, the most generous offer beyond what Democrats thought, but it also sets the table for these midterm elections and what it is that Democrat leaders can say to their voters, like, hey, you had a deal on the table and you didn't even entertain it. You just called the guy a bunch of names.
Well, one way to frame that deal is he's calling the Democrats bluff. No one expected it to be 1.8 million, double the amount of amnesty recipients. No one expected it, frankly, to be a pathway to citizenship, which means the president has taken a lot of criticism, or some criticism, I should say, from the right, from folks who say, wow, that's a big giveaway. So either it's a bold calling of a bluff, or it's a bad opening bid. And I think he's getting criticism from both sides, including myself. You wonder, wow, he didn't campaign on amnesty, didn't campaign on pathway to citizenship. So there is some concern there. How are they going to make sure that the border is truly secured without giving away amnesty? And the White House is answering those questions
Right.
today.
The White House is coming out and saying, listen, this is not amnesty. This is how you get a deal that meets people in the middle. You get border security, and you have a solution for Dreamers who, let's face it, we're not going to deport them. They're here already.
We have Raj Shah.
Let's see what Raj Shah, the Deputy White House Press Secretary, says about this framework.
I think the president is showing leadership. The president has always said that he wanted a responsible outcome for the DACA population. It's a pathway that involves 10 to 12 years. They have to engage in the system. They cannot commit crimes. They cannot. They have to pay back taxes. We're going to end extended family chain migration across the board for all new entrants into this country. The president ran on fixing this problem once and for all. If this proposal becomes law, we're going to get a southern border wall. We're going to have thousands of more agents on the southern border. We're going to stop the flow of illegal immigrants and the flow of illegal drugs. And for that, in exchange for that, giving a pathway to citizenship for people that came here as minors, we think is a fair and reasonable compromise.
So the son of immigrants, Raj Shah, there, and this is certainly going to be a part of the State of the Union. So, Rachel, what does the president say to those dreamers in the audience on Tuesday?
Well, I think it's a perfect opportunity for him to say, I want to help you. I want to give you a path to citizenship, but we must, as a country, solve this problem once and for all. And I think if you get border security and you have a pathway to citizenship that satisfies the left, you have a deal. And then you can move immigration off the table, talk about what you want to talk about, which is the economy.
Great point. The left wants all or nothing. So he's called their bluff. But he does, I think, need to continue to reassure conservatives who have been told by so-called conservatives in the past that we're going to do comprehensive immigration reform. It's really just amnesty and maybe a little bit of fence and a little bit of that. Sequencing matters. You got to get the wall and end to chain migration and visa lottery before you just bestow a pathway to citizenship to even more illegal immigrants than you thought. And I love what Raj Shah said. It's got to be one strike, you're out. If you're going to be given this amnesty, you're given this opportunity to citizenship, you better be the top of the top, the best of the best. You better be these valedictorians and military members of the so-called dreamers that the left likes to talk about. Keep them, but if you screw up, you're out of here. And then the wall truly being built is important. I think for conservatives, reserve judgment on the deal until you see what actually comes of it. Let the debate happen. But I think it's so great that on the right, at least there's a debate happening about a deal that can happen, whereas on the left, they're like, you're racist, you're out, we hate you.
Can I tell you,
how does that work?
Can I tell you what else is very dangerous about what they're doing? They're really rallying up the dreamers. Many of them are hardcore activists now. And I think they're setting them up and with really bad strategy. I mean, we've seen, some of these dreamers, disrupting, the halls of Congress, calling the president a racist and chanting about him being part of the KKK. That is not going to endear you to the American people, who, by the way, through the president, have just offered a very generous 3 times the amount of people than Obama offered. By the way, Obama had 8 years to solve this. In just right after the 1-year anniversary, Trump is offering a permanent solution for them and a permanent solution to end all the illegal immigration in the future.
And it's not only just it'll be interesting to see if they use that strategy to also name call on the other issues that the president's going to talk about in the State of the Union. It's not just immigration. It's also going to be jobs in the economy, infrastructure, trade, national security, infrastructure. How could it will be stunning to me if I am reporting on Wednesday morning that Democrats are attacking a proposal for infrastructure, perhaps the most bipartisan of all issues traditionally in Washington, because you're spending money and building roads and all that stuff. But we will find out if that same strategy continues.
Part of the infrastructure is building a wall, and they don't want to build a wall.
State of the Union on Tuesday night. It's the height of, as some might say, of Washington political theater. You see the Republicans stand and the Democrats stand, and sometimes they both stand and sometimes nobody stands. When he's had such a successful and incredible first year, can the Democrats not going to stand when he talks about what's happening with our economy, with the low black unemployment, with the jobs that are coming back to our country, it's the crushing of ISIS? I mean, they're going to have to make some serious calculations about the way they play this, because they can talk all they want about Russian collusion, and you see it on the networks here, wall to wall. But the reality is Americans are feeling more optimistic about their country. He's delivered on his promises. It's going to be very interesting to see.
Maybe that's why they're not. Maybe that's why some of them aren't going. I mean, if you're Maxine Waters and the president is touting how great, unemployment, how low the unemployment numbers have been for African Americans, you don't want to stand up and applaud, but you kind of have to. So maybe you just go, I'm not going to show up.
What do you do?
Well, remember who he's talking to. He's going to talk to the American people, and Democrats are a little bit at risk of how they respond respond because he is going to talk about things he has done for the American people, paychecks he has raised, security he has provided. And so if Democrats overplay their hand, it will be something that could potentially backfire on them because he speaks to that camera to the American people. He's not talking to the Democrats.
He's got so many great angles, though. What if he actually does quote Bill Clinton from 1995 on immigration and says, where are you now? Where's the party of that? And we cut you this amazing deal and pathway to citizenship. He's got some really interesting angles that he could play in this speech. And if you're that speechwriter, I both envy you and don't envy you because you have one of the most difficult tasks in Washington right now.
I do think he should speak directly to the Dreamers, who he's offering a deal, and their Democrat leaders are telling them not to take the deal. If you're a Dreamer, you're going, so why am I not supposed to take this deal?
He'll talk to the Dreamers and the conservatives in his own party and say, here's why we can both get what we want in a place that you need 60 votes in the Senate.
A lot more of that coming. But first, headlines.
We got some headlines for you. The death toll now rising from the Taliban's suicide bombing in Afghanistan's capital. At least 103 people are dead and another 235 wounded. President Trump condemning the terror group, calling the attack despicable. He tweets, Taliban targeted innocent Afghans, brave police in Kabul today. Our thoughts and prayers go to the victims and first responders. We will not allow the Taliban to win. A man is facing terrorism-related charges after threatening Republican Congresswoman Vicky Hartzler. Jeffrey O'Loughlin allegedly calling her office saying, quote, use gunpowder and put some people in the grave. It's like me reading, like, Chinese phonetically.
Here come the sports.
Can
Let's
you tell
pop
I'm
the
not
popcorn.
sporty?
Let's go. Oh, you're the best.
That's great. All right. Still ahead, liberal comedian Chelsea Handler taking another shot at women who support President Trump.
I know 53 or 54%, some argue, percent of white women voted for Donald Trump, and that made me sick to my stomach.
Those comments met with silence from the left. Why the double standard? We'll debate coming up.
Plenty of double standards. Plus, what does Charlie Hurt think of the president's immigration plan? He's a conservative, has supported the president a lot. It's going to be very interesting, and we're going to ask him next. Tomorrow, President Trump expected to outline with more detail his immigration framework, offering a path to citizenship for 1.8 million DACA recipients and others in exchange for $25 billion for border security and measures on ending the visa lottery system and curbing chain migration.
Here to break it all down, Washington Times opinion editor and Fox News contributor and somebody I love doing shows with, Charles Hurt. How are you? Welcome this morning. What do you think of the deal? We've been debating it all morning. I think it's brilliant. What do you think?
Well, I think it's probably brilliant as well. It's not what I want as a conservative. There are a lot of things in here that I wish, there's a difference between a pathway to citizenship and a pathway to legalization. And I think that the 1.8 million citizenship is too much. And I wish that there was even more border security stuff in it. But that said, this is absolutely the most centrist immigration plan that we've ever seen in 30 plus years of these people in Washington arguing about this issue. This is the most serious issue, the most serious proposal where somebody has come in, looked at both sides and said, okay, I hear everything you're saying on the right, everything you're saying on the left, and here is a great meeting point in the middle. Let's all come together and do something about it. The fact that you have these Democrats calling him a racist, making America white again, and all of this stuff, it's just preposterous, and it shows, in my mind, it shows that those people, they're not interested in actually striking a deal. They want to keep the issue, the broken system, they want to keep that broken because they can run elections off of it, and they have no interest in actually fixing the problem.
So for conservatives that are hesitant, because you have heard some criticisms of this, is sequencing or timing important, making sure that the security measures are in place so that when you give amnesty or a pathway to citizenship, you're not just recreating the problem when Washington undoes the security measures and keeps giving amnesty. Is that an important aspect of bringing conservatives on board?
Absolutely, because time and time again, even in 1986 with Ronald Reagan, the issue, they set up security and they set up legalization, amnesty. And of course, politicians love to do the easy part. They love to give out amnesty. But then when it comes to doing the hard part, spending money, actually figuring out how to stop the flow, politicians, they don't like to do that sort of thing. So they did the amnesty part in 86. They didn't do the security. And so we had 3 million illegals back then. And so then that blossoms to what we have today, which is, I guess about 12 million, but it could be much higher than that. We don't know. And for that reason, you have to be, if you're a conservative or any sensible American who cares about the borders, you have to hold politicians here accountable every step of the way. And the way you do that is you say the security has to come with the legalization.
Charles, real quick, does this present a problem for Democrats like Pelosi and Schumer going forward when they clearly are being exposed for simply not even wanting to come to the table and name calling? Does this make a problem for them when they have to go explain to their constituents, 800,000 of them that are dreamers, why they didn't even bother?
Even on top of that, what about the ones in the middle, the so-called moderate Democrats? And their vote is the one that's most critical in the Senate.
Right. I think absolutely it is a real problem, and it was exactly what you all were just saying. If he goes out there tomorrow or Tuesday night and talking directly to the Dreamers, talking directly to those centrist Democrats, and they're not going to listen to this "Make America White Again" nonsense. They're going to be sitting there going, "Wait a minute, this is not only everything we wanted; it's more than what President Obama was suggesting."
Puts them in a very tough political spot.
Yeah.
Which is why they're screaming racist, because that's what you do when you don't have anything to say.
Charles, thank you.
Thanks, Charles.
Thank you, guys.
Women in the White House coming under attack all week long, but the left said nothing. Why the double standard? We're going to debate that next.
Welcome back. Some quick headlines for you. Republican National Committee Finance Chair Steve Wynn has resigned. The committee accepting the casino mogul's resignation amid claims of sexual misconduct. Wynn has denied any wrongdoing. In a new report suggesting harassment by a former Hillary Clinton aide continued long after initial allegations in 2008, BuzzFeed now reporting that Burns Strider was accused of unwanted touching while working for a pro-Clinton super PAC in 2015. The so-called faith guru kept his job on the 2008 campaign despite similar accusations then. Rachel?
Thank you, Griff. Prominent women in the White House facing attacks from all sides. The headlines were filled with rumors about marital problems between the president and the First Lady. This as Cher tells Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders to, quote, stop dressing like a sister wife. And UN Ambassador Nikki Haley was the latest victim of a classic smear against powerful women, rumors of an affair, this time with the president.
It is absolutely not true. It is highly offensive. And it's disgusting.
Now, there was mostly silence from the left as the women in the White House faced these attacks. So why the double standard? Here to debate, Democrat strategist Christy Setzer, welcome, and freelance writer and former press assistant to Senator Rick Santorum, Lauren DeBellis Appel. Welcome. Chelsea, so I'm going to start with you. This is an administration that no one can really argue that has put women at the top echelons of its administration, and yet we're seeing these really gross attacks. I mean, I'm especially troubled by the attack on Nikki Haley. Here's the UN ambassador being accused of having an affair with the president with no basis. This seems like a war on conservative women, and yet we hear nothing from the left on these attacks of powerful women. What do you make of that?
Was that for me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I think the first thing to understand is who is making these attacks. Are they coming from Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, anybody in elected office for the Democratic Party? No, they are not. These are not Democratic attacks. I think that's the first thing to understand. The second thing to understand is that it is unfortunate, and I agree with Nikki Haley, disgusting. But the truth is that, and I'm sure, Rachel, you know this as well, any woman who puts themselves out there in the public spotlight, whether you're a Democrat, a Republican, or something in between, or something entirely different, gets unfair attacks on their appearance, on their views, on everything. If you don't believe that, I invite you to check out my Twitter feed after this hit. Those things happen, but they're not coming from the Democratic Party.
Right, but
I think
normally,
that's an incredibly important distinction.
But normally when you see concerted attacks like this, and this question is for you, Lauren, you see concerted attacks on a group of powerful women in an administration, you would see normally other women within government coming to their defense and calling them out and trying to stop this kind of behavior.
Exactly. And I think, Rachel, good morning. This is a symptom of a greater problem. And I think what you're seeing here is that women on the left cannot wrap their mind around the fact that so many women in this country voted for President Trump. I mean, this is a president whose policies...
Which women are attacking them, Lauren? Which women? Can you name who's attacking them?
This is a president whose policies are good for women. This is a president who has put women in key positions in the White House. This is a president who has put women in key positions in the cabinet.
Christy.
These women are talented women. These women like Nikki Haley, she's come out and she's been attacked because when they don't have facts, they go for attacks.
Hey, can I give you some facts, Rachel?
Let me just stop for a second.
One fact, which is the fact that Donald Trump has appointed more white men to his cabinet and to office than anybody in a generation.
Okay,
if you look at the court appointments, 91% white males.
Let's just take a look really quick. Here's the point. Wait a minute, ladies.
Look at his press office. Look at the West Wing. Look at his press office.
Wait a minute, ladies.
Ladies,
hold on for a second. I want to take a look at this clip from Chelsea Handler. And you're right, it's not coming from government officials, Christy. But as you and I both know, culture leads politics. And I think Chelsea has a big voice and has a big influence on Democrat politics in some cultural ways. Wait, let's just play the clip and see.
In Democratic politics.
I know 53 or 54%, some argue, percent of white women voted for Donald Trump, and that made me sick to my stomach because we're voting against our best interests, whereas, 94% of black women did not vote for Donald Trump because they knew they would be voting against their best interests.
All right, one at a time here. We're going to start with Christy. Here she is attacking all the women who voted for Donald Trump.
And she is allowed to, as someone who holds a public platform. But again, she does not speak for the Democratic Party. She may have voted Democratic. I assume she did. But, but David Duke voted for Donald Trump, I assume, as well, right? Does he speak for the president? I would hope you would think not.
Okay. Lauren, last word on this one.
This shows the big disconnect between these liberals who call themselves feminists in this country and the rest of the women in this country. There's a huge disconnect going on here. They do not speak for all women, and they claim to.
Right.
I never did.
We're going to leave it at that and let our viewers make their own decision on it. Thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Rachel.
You got it. This is outrageous. A high school teacher and a city councilman slams our military in the classroom.
They're not like high-level thinkers. They're not academic people. They're not intellectual people. They're the freaking lowest of our low.
The fallout from this disturbing rant next. And we also have fun here at Fox and Friends, but today is officially National Fun at Work Day, and we're celebrating. We have a DJ, we have a barbecue in the studio. Make sure to stick around with us. Fox and Friends, mornings are better with friends.
Oh, so this is hot and fresh. This is good.
Trumpets, they go.
Well, we don't have a lot of powers here, but we are going to take you inside of a classroom because of the power of videotape. This city councilman, well, actually an iPhone, we don't use videotape anymore, but this city councilman, yeah, that's right, VHS, and government teacher caught on video ranting against the military. Take a listen to this. He's a Pico Rivera Democratic councilman and a high school teacher at El Rancho in California. Listen.
Think about the people who you know over there. Your freaking stupid Uncle Louie or whatever. They're dumb. They're not like high-level thinkers. They're not academic people. They're not intellectual people. They're the freaking lowest of our low, not morally. I'm not saying they make bad moral decisions. Just they're not talented people.
Wow.
They're not talented people. So think about this. If a student is recording audio of this teacher, it's probably not the first time he has something like this to say.
Yeah, and We should point out, by the way, we've reached out to Mr. Salcido, but have not been able to talk to him because he is out of town. There will be disciplinary measures taken, we think.
Well, we've got a statement from the district.
Okay.
I don't know if we have it on full
Yeah,
screen or
that's
not.
right. Put that up.
Okay.
Oh.
That's what we just, sorry, that is a statement.
That's a
What
statement.
I think was very fascinating, what I
Sure.
want to point out, too, is that is there any reporter, first thing you do, because this is a city councilman as well as a government teacher, say, hey, this is an elected leader. They called the mayor, Gustavo Camacho and Pico Rivera, silent. No comment whatsoever. Perhaps because he doesn't know what to say because this is abhorrent,
Because it's outrageous.
abhorrent things that he said.
You know, as a parent, I generally don't like kids having phones in school. But this is really a case for why we should. I mean, a lot of times these teachers use their position in the classroom to indoctrinate their kids. And the only way kids can defend themselves these days is to record it and hopefully try and get some justice.
It's just so ridiculous. The lowest of the low, not talented. You know, having served many years in our military with men that I know across this great nation, they are the most talented, the most courageous, the most thoughtful, the leaders of our community when they come back as well. I mean, it's but it's also so indicative into the mind of the left. I said this earlier as well. John Kerry once said, hey, if you don't study, you're going to get caught in Iraq. There's this idea that if you don't have any other shot, then you can go into the military and maybe make something yourself.
Right.
That's effectively what these teachers say.
Men and women laying down their lives fighting for people just like that teacher to say what he just said. We want to hear what you say.
Yeah, tell us what you think. Email us at, what is it? Fox?
Friends
at FoxNews.
She never got the welcome binder. Yeah. Get her the Fox and Friends welcome binder so she knows the email address, which is right here, friends@foxnews.com.
But she got the headlines.
Right. I do have the headlines. President Trump confirming the controversial ban on importing elephant trophies from a pair of African nations will now remain in place. According to the Huffington Post, the president called the initial decision by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service to overturn the Obama-era ban, quote, terrible. The agency's announcement in November was met with criticism from both sides of the aisle. A woman trying to visit her dying mother is removed from a United Airlines flight after an online travel agency cancels her ticket just before takeoff. Traveler Help Desk blaming a mix-up over the woman switching to an earlier flight from Colorado to Minnesota without telling them. Carol Amrich sitting on the United plane when she was told she had to get off. Staff not letting her buy another ticket. Amrich then choosing to drive to Minnesota. Her 80-year-old mother passing away halfway through her trip. She's accusing the airline of not offering empathy or help. Washington State issuing a new emergency rule to help protect illegal immigrant residents will no longer be required to provide their birthplace on driver's license applications. The decision coming just weeks after the Seattle Times reported the Department of Licensing was handing over personal information to ICE that could be used to arrest and deport illegal immigrants. And those are your headlines. Griff?
Thank you. While we have fun at our jobs every morning here on Fox and Friends, every day. Today's officially National Fun at Work Day. Adam, you read. You get to read.
I get to read something?
Yes.
What better way to get in the spirit than with music? We've got Brian here, our morning DJ. In Crowd Control Entertainment, that's right?
Yes,
that's the
correct.
company in Glenn.
Yes, sir.
Our guy as well. DJing, music, always the life of the party. Is it fun to kind of control the party when you're in it?
It's always a good thing, and it's nice to be a part of celebrations and just keep the celebrations going.
Now, let's get the celebration going now. Now, you had me in that tease. We were ripping something.
Yeah, you were cutting it up before. We were going like...
Let it roll. Let's hear this. Edge of Glory.
Wait, did that control? Can I
scratch? Yeah, you scratch.
Oh!
There you go.
Now, yeah, so when I hold it...
A lot of finesse right there, you know? Good.
All right, Rachel, where are you having fun?
Can we get let's get a picture
drive, which I'm not good at.
Take a picture of me and Brian.
Just roll. Okay.
Ready? That's it. Floor it.
Oh my God, this is so fun. I told you I'm not good. This is actually how I drive. I'm terrible.
Yeah.
My kids said,
clearly have played a lot of that.
my kids say I'm the worst driver in real life, too.
Well, well, while Rachel plays video games, and she's terrible at it, but I love her anyway, we're here with Butcher Bar chef Matthew Katakis, Orlando Sanchez is going to be carving up. So Butcher Bar is here in New York City. You got a location in Astoria and a location now on the Lower East Side.
That's right.
When I think barbecue, I think evening, but you're saying you can do it for breakfast too, for a morning party here.
Well, being born and raised in New York City, brunch is a big hit,
for us,
especially on the weekends. So we took our serious barbecue and we tied it into serious brunch. We're about serious drinks. We got some of the best Bloody Marys. You come down to the Lower East Side.
Wait, you didn't bring any Bloody Marys though. That's your only fail of the morning so far.
Exactly.
Chef.
So I apologize about that. We wanted to, keep it G-rated for the morning show. But we did bring you a bunch of stuff. Some of our brunch items right here. We have burnt ends with scrambled eggs. We have our home fries bacon, some organic greens, our French toast that we do Texas style. We have a Monte Cristo over here with pulled pork and brie, and then a nice fried egg sandwich with tons of bacon and cheddar over here. Beautiful comfort.
What do you call your burnt ends, by the way?
Double smoked beef burnt ends. The infamous burnt ends.
What's the meat candy? Is that something else?
Well, meat candy too. There's so many names. People love them so much. I'll tell you what, they're guaranteed to change your life, right?
They're changing my life right now. Seriously, fantastic. You come to New York, check out Butcher Bar. We got to thank everyone down here making it National Have Fun at Work Day. Crowd Control Entertainment, Magical Productions Entertainment, and of course these two gentlemen from Butcher Bar. Stick with us. We're having a party all morning. Might as well have fun at work, right? So, all right, Dr. Sebastian Gorka's here. He won't be at the party, but he will be on the television screen.
Allegations against the FBI just keep getting worse this morning. The embattled agency now accused of withholding text messages from senior officials, including former Director James Comey and Andrew McCabe.
Here to react, Fox News national security strategist and former deputy assistant to President Trump, Dr. Sebastian Gorka. Doctor, thanks for being here this morning. Really appreciate it. So this report is saying that the DOJ is withholding a majority of the FBI text messages, including some from Andrew McCabe. They're withholding them from Congress. Why would they be doing that, and what could this actually mean?
Well, Pete, the question is who made that decision? The FBI is an incredible institution. I've worked with thousands of its agents and analysts. But the problem is the management layer, what we call the seventh floor. We see it's riddled through with Obama-era appointees who basically have politicized the agency. If you look at the text messages we've already seen from people like Peter Strzok and his paramour, these are people who wanted Hillary Clinton to win the election and gave her special treatment so she could become the president. We need to see these text messages from Andy McCabe, because Andy McCabe is probably in contravention of the Hatch Act, given how he politically stumped for his wife, who was a Democrat candidate, got $700,000 from a Clinton buddy here in the D.C. region. So what do they have to hide is the real question.
Sebastian, you bring up a great point about all these Obama-era bureaucrats and appointees that are still in place. Why hasn't the president done more to move these people on, to fill his appointments? He's really behind the ball on this, and isn't this a wake-up call?
Well, there's two reasons. I've spoken to the president since I left the White House, and to his credit, he's taken a very hands-off approach. He is, by the Constitution, the chief law enforcement officer of the United States. People need to remember, it's not the Attorney General, it's not the Director of the FBI. The chief law enforcement officer is the president, but he wants them to do their work, give him a clean bill of health, because he knows that there's no collusion. He knows that he's completely innocent. So he's taken a kind of hands-off approach. And second, the other thing we have to remember, when we won the election, and then when we moved into the White House on January the 20th, it was a tiny group of people that won this election. This wasn't the establishment candidate. Donald Trump was the anti-establishment candidate. He was only accidentally the GOP's candidate. So, you know, our pool of people to recruit was actually quite small.
Dr. Gorka, let me ask you, with the president's immigration plan coming out tomorrow and a lot of discussion going on, I want to play for you a Congresswoman, Yvette Clarke. She's from the Brooklyn district here, and she's talking about ISIS here. Take a listen to this. She made this at a rally here recently. Take a listen.
We're standing in front of a building that has become the headquarters for the Gestapo of the United States of America.
The Gestapo standing in front of the ICE headquarters there. What do you make of this?
It's an outrage. This woman should be recalled by her constituency. This is an insult to all the GIs, our grandfathers, our fathers who fought the Nazis of World War II. To say this on Holocaust Memorial Weekend is a disgrace. It's a disgrace to Congress and to her office. This is a woman who has no idea what she's talking about. The brave men and women of the Department of Homeland Security, our ICE agents, protect this country, and to compare them to the death squads of the Nazis, it makes me sick, Griff. It literally makes me sick.
Dr. Gorka, briefly, as everyone talks about immigration and the proposal brought forward by this White House, what's the big takeaway? I mean, we see the Democrats resisting it so far, but for conservatives and those who are wary a little bit of the 1.8 million number of the path to citizenship, what's the big takeaway they should have at the president's plan?
Look, the takeaway should be the president built his campaign on the wall on fixing immigration. He's tried to be open. He's tried to be kind-hearted. The Democrats have shut him down, but he's going to protect this nation. That's the bottom line, Pete.
Dr. Gorka, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thanks, Doctor.
Thank you.
Thanks, Doctor.
All right, coming up, Maxine Waters isn't just skipping the State of the Union, she's giving her own response.
Oh, goody. And so remember the veteran who offered to take her seat? Well, he's going to the president's speech thanks to our own Rachel and her husband, Congressman Sean Duffy. That vet right there joins us next.
Yay,
Good
Ricky.
job, Rachel.
Country stations, yeah, we're one big country nation, that's right.
The great Congresswoman Maxine Waters isn't just boycotting President Trump's State of the Union. She's set to give her very own address on BET Tuesday night in response to the president's speech.
Since Maxine Waters isn't going to attend, Army veteran Ricky Taylor asked for her seat and will now be attending thanks to Congressman Sean Duffy and his wife, our own Rachel.
Joining us now with more, that U.S. Army veteran who served 2 tours in Afghanistan, Ricky Taylor. Welcome to Fox and Friends. So glad to meet you over the television here.
Oh, thank you so much. And I just want to extend my thanks to you and just your act of kindness and letting me go to this. Thank you so much.
I couldn't be prouder to give you my gallery ticket. And you also get, by the way, dinner with my husband. It's on him, the beer, the food. I rarely get a dinner alone with Sean, so I'm a little jealous.
I did. I said I wasn't going to hold back either, so I hope he's ready.
Really quick, did Maxine Waters' office reach out to you at all when you originally sent that tweet?
No, I never did hear from Maxine or her camp. You know, I really think she's more concerned with her personal vendetta against the president than to reach out to, you know, a veteran who doesn't agree with her point of views.
Ricky, thank you for your service to this nation. Let me just say that first and foremost. When you hear Democrats like Maxine Waters, and she's not the only one, that make these remarks, how do you feel?
You know, I don't think they really are in tune with, you know, the average daily American or, you know, veterans like me. I think they kind of take for granted the position that they are in. And, you know, I just think it's really unfortunate.
Ricky, some members of Congress are bringing illegal immigrants, dreamers, to the State of the Union. The Duffys are bringing a decorated military veteran. You have dreams, too. You love this country. You served. What does it mean to be at the State of the Union at this moment?
You know, for me, I just think the opportunity to go and really just be in awe at, you know, what the president has done and to be there, and all of the people that are supporting me on Twitter and, you know, veterans and just the regular American citizen alike. You know, I'm just happy for that opportunity, and it's just something that I'll never forget.
Ricky, you're not going to forget, and I'm going to tell you, you really have brought together the country in a way that's very interesting, because the State of the Union, when Sean was first elected, President Obama was in office. Sean, obviously a Republican, not an Obama supporter, but he was, the first thing he thought after he realized he won, the next thought, he was like, oh my gosh, I get to go to the State of the Union. It's really an honor. And I think that your excitement about going, you putting out that tweet, accepting my invitation to take my ticket, I think really puts in perspective the way our country wants to feel about the State of the Union, which is a unifying moment, and it's an honor to be part of it. And your excitement is contagious.
Oh, thank you so much. I couldn't agree more. I think to go to something like this or to boycott it, to me, it's sacrilegious. I just couldn't understand why somebody wouldn't want to go.
Ricky, you're setting an example for a lot of people who are very short-sighted in their view of the honor they have to sit in that room and listen to that speech. Thank you for your service to our country, sir, and enjoy the speech on Tuesday.
I hope to